Hopefully you're able to enjoy the Thanksgiving weekend with friends and family. And I know I've got some leftovers that I have to deal with, but that's the fun of it when you come out of a Thanksgiving weekend where you're hosting family. But still, it was a good weekend overall. I know it's getting a little chillier, so it's starting to feel a lot like a hockey season now here in central Ontario at least. But it's a good time of year for hockey because we're now in the thick of it for the junior hockey ranks. And if you're new to the channel, it's your first time watching one of my Power Rankings videos, I do have my own formula that I use to come up with this rankings. It's on a game-by-game basis that I update it. And I know that the OHL, they posted that the Barrie Colts are number 2 in their Power Rankings. And for Barrie Colt fans, I'm going to apologize now. I do not have the Barrie Colts that high in my Power Rankings. I know there's going to be some fans that are going to probably prefer the OHL rankings to mine, but I wanted to put it out there. So let's dive right into it because I do love doing the Power Rankings video. It gives you a snapshot of where the OHL is at this time of year. And starting things off at number 20, the Peterborough Petes. It was another rough week for the Petes. They went 0-3 in their first 3-3 of the regular season. They did hold the Sudbury Wolves to just 1 goal in the opening game of the week, but that was a 1-0 win for Sudbury in that game. So very tough start for Peterborough as they've now lost 7 straight to begin the regular season. And I was going back into the archives, and thanks to OHL history, they posted the results dating back as far as the 1940s and 30s. And for the Peterborough Petes, this is the first time in their history they've started a season 0-7. So it's not something to be excited about. But it is setting new records here for this organization that dates back to 1956. I think that for the Peterborough Petes, they will start to get some wins. They'll figure things out. They do have a very young lineup after all the trades they made at last year's OHL trade deadline. This is a team looking to the future. It's just been some tough luck. And finding the back of the net has been a struggle for the Peterborough Petes. We'll see if they can turn this around. In recent history, you can go back to the 2010-2011 season. They had a 1-6 start, so that'd be the most you could compare this season to. So we'll see if they can turn it around like they did in that 2010-2011 season. Coming up this week, the Peterborough Petes, they're playing a home-and-home starting Thursday against the Oshawa Generals at the PMC, and then they go to Oshawa Friday night. Number 19, no change. The Guelph Storm. The Storm 1-1 last week. They had a win over the struggling Petes and then a loss to the London Knights, who are very close to a full lineup right now. The Storm, they're playing .500 hockey, so not disappointing. They could really use Jet Lachenko back in their lineup. Right now, of course, playing with the Philadelphia Flyers at the NHL. We'll have to wait and see if Lachenko comes back. I know there's some very nervous Storm fans after waiting for Matthew Poitras to see if he would have returned last season. And right now, it feels like 2.0 in regards to that. So we'll keep an eye on Lachenko to see if he comes back to the Guelph Storm. But right now, the team playing .500 hockey. And coming up this week, they're at home to the Windsor Spitfires on Friday. They host Kitchener on Saturday. And then they visit the Rangers on Sunday. So a home-and-home with their Highway 7 rivals. At number 18, the Kingston Frontenacs. No change for them. I'm still trying to figure out the Frontenacs because they had a big 7-2 win over Sudbury at home, and then they lose 3-2 to Brantford. So you win, and then you lose. We're just waiting to see, is this team going to break out? I feel like they could be a dark horse in the Eastern Conference, but just waiting for something to click with this team. Jacob Battaglia, though, he has been outstanding to start the season. He has points in all 7 games to start the year. 7 goals, 8 assists, 15 points, which ties him for 3rd in the league for scoring. So Battaglia getting the job done, just waiting for the wins to follow suit to get Kingston out of the bottom of the power rankings. The Frontenacs also just completed a 6-game homestand where they went 2-3-1. Now they spend the next 4 games away from slush puppy place. So we'll see what happens with the Frontenacs going on the road. So coming up this week, Thursday, they're in Erie. Saturday, they travel to Brantford. And then Sunday, they're in Niagara. At number 17, that's the Sarnia Sting. No change for them as well. So the bottom 4 teams in the power rankings, no change from last week. The Sting, they went 1-1-1, earning 3 out of a possible 6 points. Easton Wainwright, 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points over his last 2 games, and he is a great leader for this young core. I think it'd be nice to see Sarnia maybe put string some wins together to get them out of the basement of the power rankings. I think this is a team that could surprise many in the OHL. They're a young team, kind of like the Peterborough Petes, but I do think there's a lot of potential for the team this season to maybe challenge for a playoff spot. So coming up this week, Sarnia, they're doing the Northern Road Trip. They're in North Bay Thursday. Friday, they're in Sudbury. And then on Sunday, they visit the Soo Greyhounds. At number 16, the Niagara Ice Dogs. They fell 4 spots. They were passed. That's basically what it comes down to. Because the Niagara Ice Dogs, they have been such a positive story to start the year, despite falling in this week's power rankings. They were 1-1 last week, so pretty average. But was a little concerning, though. They suffered that loss at home to the Owen Sound Attack, where they allowed 6 goals and then allowed 5 goals in their win against North Bay. So keeping the puck out of the net was a problem this past week. Owen Flores, of course, he is out due to suspension. He was suspended 4 games. He still has 2 more games to go. But the offense, though, a solid bright spot. Kevin He continues to get the job done. Wasselin, their rookie forward, he's been great. So yes, they dropped in this week's power rankings, but this is still a very good team, a very good upstart. I believe the Ice Dogs, they'll continue to climb the power rankings going forward. But right now, just a very average week with a lot of goals against. Coming up, though, they host the Ottawa 67s on Thursday. Friday, they travel to Kitchener. And then on Sunday, they're home to the Kingston Frontenacs. At number 15, the Owen Sound Attack. They're up 1 position this week. Now, Owen Sound, they were the busiest team last week, playing 4 games in total. And they had a record of 2-1-1, so not too shabby. Those 2 wins were against Niagara and Peterborough, where they outscored their opponents 13-6. So a great showing in those 2 wins for Owen Sound. They also pushed the Knights to overtime last week. So some positive signs last week from an Owen Sound team that was quite busy. And for Landon Hookey, he had a great week. He scored a hat trick against the Petes, posting 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points over the last 4 games. So I know there's a lot of fans in Owen Sound that are kind of figuring, okay, there's always next season after seeing Colby Barlow move out and a lot of other players graduating. But this group, they're showing some competitive signs, which is great for this Owen Sound Attack Hockey Club. And this week, just 2 games, so not as busy. Thursday night, they're in Barrie, and then Saturday, home to the Windsor Spitfires. So 2 very tough opponents coming up this week. At number 14, we have the Soo Greyhounds, who are up 2 positions. The Greyhounds may be at the bottom of the Western Conference standings, but they earned 2 huge victories this week. A shootout win against the Kitchener Rangers, and then a regulation win against the Saginaw Spirit. So for the Soo Greyhounds, these are a big 4 points to help them out, as they were really struggling off the hop. Rookie forward Carson Andrew, he's been a pleasant surprise with the Greyhounds. The 4th round pick scored the game winner against Saginaw and now has 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points in 7 games of work. So not too bad there from the rookie. For the Greyhounds coming up Wednesday, they will be in Sudbury. Friday, the host Flint, and then Sunday, the Sarnia Sting come to town. At number 13, the Barrie Colts, no change from last week. The Colts, they've been playing well. They went 1-1 last weekend, where they lost the lead in London late in the 3rd period, but then pulled out a big win against the Brampton Steelheads on home ice. So 2 very tough opponents. They played London hard and then got the victory against Brampton. So yeah, all signs right now pointing to, this Barrie Colts team climbing the Eastern Conference standings. But they also added Dalen Wakely from North Bay. He posted 3 goals in 2 games, also provided a spark to Brad Gardner's game, who also had 3 goals in those 2 games. So I do like what Wakely brings to this Barrie Colts team, that offense becoming even more of a threat going forward. So if the Colts can string some wins together here, they will make it to the top half of the power rankings. But just where things are right now, playing 500 hockey, they're in the middle range, sitting at 13th. Also to note, Keishon Aitchison suspended 2 games due to the incident where he went after Porter Martone at the buzzer. And because of those actions, 2-game suspension for Aitchison. So that's going to hurt the blue line a bit. But they have such great depth on the blue line. Grayson Tiller sounds like he should be back this weekend. Nothing has been confirmed as of yet, but still positive signs right now with the Barrie Colts, and still waiting for Bo Jelsma to get back in the lineup. So coming up Thursday night, Barrie is home to Owen Sound, and then Sunday, they travel to Ottawa to face the 67s. Number 12, the Brampton Steelheads, they fell 2 positions this week. After getting off to an impressive start, the Steelheads have now lost 3 in a row. Jack Ivankovic, he's serving a 4-game suspension, which means Jacob Gibbons will have the start for the next 2 games. And the offense, it's there. Porter Martone leads the league in scoring, 16 points. But they need to show that they're more than just a one-line team, because that line of Martone, Rakoff, McDonnell, outstanding. They just need the other lines to step up. And they do have some great depth on that team. When you look at Karmiris and Luke Misa, you got some good players on the blue line as well with Leskovar, Von Richter. I do like this Brampton team overall. They're just kind of in a bit of a rut right now in that 3-game losing streak. They'll turn it around, no doubt. Coming up Friday, they host the Ottawa 67s before taking on Saginaw on Saturday. At number 11, we have the Brantford Bulldogs. They're up 3 positions this week, and it looks like the Bulldogs are back. They won all 3 games last week, including an impressive 6-3 win on the road against the Ottawa 67s. Nick Lardis, the Chicago Blackhawks prospect, he put up 6 goals in those 3 wins, and it's nice to see his scoring touch has returned. And the wins come as Brantford City Council announced a commitment for a new arena in the city. So Bulldog fans in Brantford, very excited right now. So we'll see if they can keep up this momentum going forward. Coming up, they do play at home Friday against the North Bay Battalion. And then Saturday, they take on the Kingston Frontenac. So things looking up right now in the Telephone City. At number 10, the Flint Firebirds. They fell 1 position this week. It was a mixed bag for Flint this week. They went 1-2. One player, though, who's starting to heat up is Jimmy Lombardi. A goal, 2 assists, 3 points in the win against Oshawa, and then 2 goals in a loss to Sarnia. So Flint, I think they're still trying to find their groove. They're a competitive bunch. I think they could still contend in the Western Conference and challenge for the West Division, but they just need to get some consistency going right now. Coming up, they travel to Sault Ste. Marie on Friday, and then Saturday they're home to the Erie Otters. At number 9, we have the Erie Otters. They're up 2 positions, and Erie, they went 1-0-1 last week, but what an impressive win it was against the Windsor Spitfires, where they put up 5 goals in the 3rd period to come back to win 6-3. Now, one player that's been pretty steady of late, Malcolm Spence. He has points in all 6 games that he's appeared in for Erie, a goal and 6 assists, good for 7 points. So Malcolm Spence getting the job done. He's a point-per-game player. And coming up this week, they're looking to build that momentum. They're home to Kingston on Thursday. Saturday, they visit the Flint Firebirds. And then Sunday, they go to London for a big matchup in the Midwest Division. At number 8, the Oshawa Generals. They are down 3 spots this week. So the Generals going into this year were seen as one of the top teams in the East going into the regular season, and then made the big splash for Colby Barlow from the Owen Sound Attack. Oshawa, last week, they were on the road, and they went 1-2. That 1 win, a shootout victory against the Sarnia Sting. And that's now 2 wins in 8 games to start the year. So kind of concerning if you're an Oshawa Generals fan, although the Generals, of course, got off to a slow start last year and really picked it up in November. So we'll see if that's something that they're going to do again. You don't want to make that a habit. But the other concerning thing right now is that Colby Barlow, 0 points since the trade in 5 games of work. But once Barlow figures it out and they gain that chemistry, I would expect his numbers to improve immensely. But right now, as it stands, some concerns with the Oshawa Generals. I do believe they're going to turn things around, but it's just a bit of a head scratcher right now. Coming up Thursday, they're in Peterborough. Friday, they host Peterborough. And then Sunday, they're taking on the Saginaw Spirit. Number 7, it's the North Bay Battalion. They're up 1 position. The Battalion, 2-1 last week, and newly acquired Shamar Moses, he is making his presence known. Moses scored the shootout winner against the Erie Otters, and also adding 2 goals, 4 assists, 6 points in 3 games. So hopefully this is a sign of things to come for Moses in North Bay with him getting some extra ice time. North Bay fans are going to love Shamar Moses. Of course, he's going to be eligible to play for the next 3 seasons in North Bay. And I know it's hard seeing Wakely go to your division rival in Barrie, but Moses, I think, is going to be quite the player for North Bay this season and going forward. So coming up this week, North Bay, they host Sarnia on Thursday. Friday, they visit the Brantford Bulldogs. And then on Sunday, they're home to the Sudbury Wolves. At number 6, the London Knights. They are up 1 spot this week. With Cowan, Barkey, and Bonk back in the lineup, London, they went 3-0 last week. Not really surprising. This is a Knights team that's very deep. But despite the depth, or despite the talent, it's the depth that's really been helping them out as well. Like William Nicol, he posted 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points in their win against Guelph to wrap up the weekend. It's nice to see that outside of the big name players. You're still seeing guys like Nickel contributing on the score sheet. And that's kind of what you need if you want a team to be consistent in the win column. And that's what we're starting to see now for the London Knights as they try to turn things around. All eyes will be on the Knights in the West as they try to win the conference for the third year in a row. And I think the depth is where it'll help them the most. Coming up this week, just 2 games for London. Friday, they're home to Saginaw. And then Sunday, they take on the Erie Otters. So 2 very tough opponents coming up this weekend. Number 5, the Sudbury Wolves. They're up 1 position. Now, there's been a lot of talk about what the team's going to do off the ice with Quentin Musty. But on the ice, Sudbury went 2-1 in their East Division road trip. And that included Finn Marshall earning his first career OHL shutout in a 40-save performance against the Peterborough Petes. And then the team went in to Ottawa and won 4-1. So the Wolves getting the job done on the ice, which is great to see that they're still sticking in there. They're being competitive in their games. The loss in Kingston, a bit of a surprise, but they sandwiched that with a pair of big wins. So coming up this week, they host Sault Ste. Marie on Wednesday. Friday, they're home to Sarnia. And then on Sunday, they visit the North Bay Battalion. At number 4, the Ottawa 67s. They're down 2 spots this week. Now, Ottawa, they were off to a pretty good start to the regular season, so it was kind of a surprise to see them go 0-2 last week. And it's maybe this is a one-off, or are we starting to see the 67's true colors? Time will tell. But Matthew Mayich, a player that stood out in the game against Brantford, where he posted a goal and 2 assists for 3 points in the loss to the Bulldogs. He's a player that has that leadership capabilities and willing to go all out. There's no signs of quitting in his game, so just wanted to recognize Mayich for his strong performance in that game against Brantford. Coming up, they're on the road to visit the Niagara Ice Dogs on Thursday, and then they're in Brampton on Friday before being home to Barrie on Sunday. Number 3, the Windsor Spitfires. No change from last week, so still in the top 3. With how well the Spitfires have been playing, I kind of thought maybe this would be the week they take top spot in the power rankings, but they'll have to wait. They went 2-1 last week. It was a big one on the road in Brampton and at home against Oshawa, but the loss in Erie was a bit of a surprise. Windsor was up 3-1 midway through that hockey game, but then gave up 5 goals in the third period to the Otters in a game that they can learn from. And that's going to be a key thing for this team. You learn from your mistakes. You find a way to grow in your game. And this is a young team in Windsor, and I think they're going to be able to overcome some of these challenges. You need to have some adversity during the regular season. And I'm sure for Greg Walters and the coaching staff, that's something they're going to mark this down as. But we'll see where they go from here. They have 2 games on the road this weekend. They're in Guelph on Friday, and then they visit Owen Sound on Saturday. At number 2, it's the Saginaw Spirit. They fell out of the top spot this week after spending 2 weeks at number 1 on the power rankings. The Spirit 0-2 last week after losses at home against Kitchener and Sault Ste. Marie. Now, you can't win them all. You're going to have some losses, and these are actually the first 2 regulation losses of the season for the Saginaw Spirit. So this is going to be interesting to see how they adjust to these 2 losses. Michael Misa still first in goals and with 11, and he's 5th in points in the OHL with 14. So the talent is there. They're still getting the contributions. It's just how do you learn from these losses going forward, as it's going to happen. Like I said, you can't win all 68 games as much as these teams want to. The Saginaw Spirit, they are on the road for 3 games this weekend. Starts Friday in London, Saturday they're in Brampton, and then Sunday against Oshawa. So 3 very tough opponents coming up this weekend in a 3-3 for the Saginaw Spirit. So that leaves us with the number 1 team this week in the power rankings, and I'm still trying to figure out this team. It's the Kitchener Rangers, up 3 spots. They were one of the top teams coming out of the preseason, and then they went 0-2 opening weekend, which included a 12-2 loss to Windsor. But last week, they went 2-0-1 on their West Division road trip, and they haven't lost a game in regulation over their last 6 games. So Kitchener finding ways to get things done. And Trent Swick, he recently returned to the Rangers lineup, and he's been fantastic. 3 goals, 3 assists, 6 points in 3 games. So Kitchener taking number 1 in the power rankings for the 2nd time. They were number 1 the first week, and in week number 4, they find themselves back at the number 1 position. So coming up for Kitchener this week, they're home to the Niagara Ice Dogs on Friday. Saturday, they're in Guelph, and then Sunday, they host the Guelph Storm. So 3-3 this weekend. Niagara is going to be a big test, and then we'll see what happens in their Highway 7 rivalry. I think the Guelph Storm better than what the record shows, but time will tell. So that's the power rankings for this week. Let me know in the comments section down below your thoughts on the rankings. Who are the teams that are surprising you right now? And what's got you most excited going forward after week number 4? Thanks again for all your support. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Talk to you again soon.